Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. I hope you guys are well. Sorry we haven't seen each other in a while, but we had a break. I've had a little tiny holiday. It was half term, so we went down to Cornwall for a few days. Took the boy down there, a bit of beach fun, mucking about, and I got to see my mum for the first time in over 18 months. So it was quite emotional, but it was a lovely, lovely break. Anyway, now we're back with another video. London's having a bit of a heat wave at the moment, so I've been wearing some bright citrusy perfumes. I thought we'll talk about them, but in a different kind of way. Now, I've just sort of realised, as I was planning to put this video together, just how much I like grapefruit. Not to eat though. When I was a kid, sort of in the early 80s, grapefruit kind of exploded and it was sort of forced down your throats by this kind of lifestyle-esque, yuppie kind of infusion that sort of, proliferated through our lives. And, grapefruit became like the trendy breakfast of choice. I can't stand eating grapefruit, so it never really... I watched my mum try and suffer through this fad. It didn't go very well. And I obviously, stuck to me Frosties or Rice Krispies or whatever I was eating when I was a kid. So I didn't really get into it. I tried it and I just cannot get on. I still to this day don't like the taste of grapefruit. This sort of bittersweet thing, I don't really get it. Either be bitter or be sweet. Don't try and be both. I don't even like to drink grapefruit. I think it's not, which is strange because I drink pretty much anything, but I don't like the taste of it. However, in perfume, I love it. I think it works so well. And I was looking through my collection. I didn't realise just how many perfumes I have that carry grapefruit. Now, I've put a list together. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we've got 8 perfumes. Grapefruit obviously lends itself very well to citrusy, sharp and bright perfumes, but it's often used very well in sort of darker, heavier perfumes as well. So we've got a couple in here that might be a little bit surprised to see. Now, I've tried to incorporate perfumes to suit every price range, so there's something in here for everyone. And I've also tried to mix it up a bit. So yeah, there are going to be some familiar favourites of mine in here, but there are going to be some that I don't talk about that much. So hopefully you will find it interesting. So like all my collection videos, it's going to be a whistle-stop tour. We're not going to go into too much detail of notes and things like that, just a brief explanation to give you an idea of how the perfume is, who it's suitable for, and what I think of it. Okay, so shall we get into it? Let's start at the top end of the spectrum. Here we have Ormond Jane's Montebacco Verano. This is a twist on a classic. Montebacco is one of Ormond Jane's most popular fragrances. It's an absolutely stunning fragrance. We have some soft tobacco, we have some suede, we have this sort of exotic feel to it. It's, the original Montebacco was made by Guy Zachon for Ormond Jane, and I think Linda Pilkington has just sort of tweaked the original formula, so it's very much like the original Montebacco, but this one has a rather beautiful grapefruit note at the opening, and that's where this changes from the original one. This sharp, fruity, citrusy grapefruit just lifts the perfume for me, but it doesn't stay with the perfume for that long. You've got about sort of, it's a bright opening to a very familiar perfume. If you have the original Montebacco, this would probably be a bit of a redundant purchase for you, and we're talking about a very expensive perfume here as well. So if you have the original, I wouldn't recommend buying Verano. If you don't have it though, Verano for me is a better option because you have that bright grapefruit infused opening, which is absolutely beautiful, and then it will, just merges in to what to Montebacco. So it's a beautiful perfume. It's very expensive, but one you must try. But if you like Guy Zachon's kind of modern take on perfumery, obviously he uses a lot of the molecular style of perfumery and materials, etc., to achieve something that is quite outstanding. One of my favourite perfumes, this one, and I'm dreading the day when I've used it all up because it's going to cost me a fortune to replace. Okay, so that's one of the more expensive ones. Now we're going to the sort of cheaper end of the spectrum, and here we have one I've talked about fairly recently, and this is Azzaro Porom Low. This is beautiful, and this is actually one of the best bargains on the fragrance market at the moment. I did speak about it, as I say, recently in a video, but I'm quite obsessed with this. I've not had it very long, and as you can see, I've put a hell of a dent in it. This is gorgeous. This is effectively Azzaro Porom, the classic barbershop, but it's using a really sharp and bright grapefruit blending it with a warm and sweet yuzu. So you have this kind of fresh, zingy, sweet opening to a classic barbershop. Beautiful fragrance, and I think you can get this at the moment for £18 for 50ml, which is a brilliant price for a brilliant perfume. It's certainly, you know, it can fit in any collection. If you don't mind a barbershop or you like a barbershop style fragrance, this is a perfect perfume for you. I thoroughly recommend you get this. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if you like the original Azzaro Porom, you can blind buy this. It's not as peppery, it's not as heavy, and it's not as old-fashioned feeling as Azzaro. It is quite sporty, it's quite light, and it's perfect. Beautiful perfume for nipping down the pub, maybe even a gym scent or something like that, but highly, highly recommended. Okay, next up, we're going to go with one of the more surprising entries into the Grapefruit collection, and that is from Dominique Ropignon, and that is Chopard's Oud Malaki. What a beautiful perfume this is. Absolutely stunning. I love it. This is absolutely delicious. If you are a fan of Penhaligon's Halfeti, they do smell quite similar. I actually prefer this. It probably doesn't last quite as long as Halfeti, but it's delicious. So you have a really sharp, crisp, but brief grapefruit opening that leads you into this wonderful westernized oud that's incredibly friendly. There's nothing scary at all about it. And then you have this sort of tobacco and honey and cloves and spices to make this really mystical, beautiful fragrance. And look at that for a bottle. You can get this in Harrods for around £90. I think this is a 75ml bottle. But if you look on the discounters, I think the cheapest I've seen this go for is around £45. And it's an absolute bargain at that price. This is beautiful. Fantastic for a dressed up evening out. It is kind of cooler weather leaning because it's quite heavy, but it is just an absolute delight. If you're looking for a different take on tobacco and you want a nice, refined, gentlemanly fragrance, have a look at that one. Don't get me wrong, a woman could wear this if she's confident with that kind of perfume, because this is outstanding. And as I say, it's by the legend that is Dominique Ropignon. Okay, next up, we couldn't talk about grapefruit without going back to one of my favourites from Hudsons, and this is 002, and this is the old style bottle. The presentation has changed quite considerably. I think they're on their third style bottle, but this is gorgeous. I absolutely love this one, and you can see this is a 100ml bottle, just how much of that I've got through as well. What a beautiful fragrance. You have a sharp, crisp, I'm going to be saying sharp, crisp and fresh an awful lot throughout this video, so please bear with me. But you have this sharp, crisp and fresh grapefruit, which is beautiful. It sits together with a kind of a watery rose, and then you've got lots of other kind of little elements that come into it. There's a little bit of oud in here, but it's not a skanky oud. There's nothing scary about it at all. What you have is a very light, uplifting, but very long-lasting and substantial perfume here, which is a real bargain. If you have a look on the Hudsons website, I think this, I can't even remember exactly how much this is. Rich will put a price up, but it's not expensive for the 100ml. I think this is one of the best bargains in perfumery at the moment, especially when you're talking about quality. Yes, I understand that they're a small kind of company from from London, from Ware in Hertfordshire. They're not particularly well known, but they're making some amazing fragrances, and I have spoken about them quite a lot, and so have a lot of other people that have sort of tried the Hudsons range and got into them, because they're making some excellent perfumes. But 002, this was obviously the second one that I tried from the house, and it's, in some respects, I love 001, don't get me wrong, that's probably my favourite, but this one is so close to it. It just works so well. I wear it for work a lot. I wear it, for down the pub and that sort of thing. It's just a beautiful, clean, fresh, it's a lovely, lovely fragrance. And because of that watery rose, it is actually quite an airy perfume. It gives off a lovely vibe. It's long lasting. It's not a beast. It doesn't overly project or anything like that. So that makes it quite a refined wear. But this is gorgeous. I think I'm probably going to wear this week, actually. This could even be my scent of the day tomorrow. But I really, really recommend Hudson's 002. Get a sample of it. Obviously, there's a rose in it, so it's not going to be for everyone. But I personally think it's going to be an absolute belter. And if you're looking for that elusive kind of warm weather summer fragrance, it could well be that one. Right, next up, we have another one from the nose, or from the mind of Gisa Schön, and that is Eccentric Molecules 04. What a beautiful fragrance. This is another one I absolutely hammer. It's so versatile. It wears really well in warm weather, and it wears even better in cold weather. It just cuts through the air, and it's a really simplistic fragrance. It's not as simplistic as just the Molecule 04. The Eccentric Molecule 04 is a perfume. Molecule 04 is a single note perfume. And the single note in 04 and the body of Eccentric Molecules 04 is a note of Jarvinol. Now, Jarvinol is a synthetic sandalwood. So what we have here is basically grapefruit and sandalwood. And it's absolutely stunning. To me, This is absolute beast mode on me as well. It lasts and lasts, it throws out, it kicks out, but because of the crisp, the citrus notes from the grapefruit, it lightens up the sandalwood, so you have this kind of fresh and woodsy perfume that goes into a more traditional style sandalwood as it dries down. But because it's pure Jarvanol, it's not real sandalwood, it doesn't get to be overly creamy or too heavy or anything like that. It's light, but it's punchy, if you know what I mean. It really has got some heft to it, and it lasts and lasts and lasts. It's just, I love this fragrance. And because I think it's not just a single molecule, you won't have any of the problems you have with like molecule 01 and things like that about not being able to smell it, because he's got some traditional materials used with the molecular materials to make a complete perfume, and that makes it a lot more wearable or a lot easier to smell than some of the others from the house. But I highly recommend this one. Grab a sample of it, and I reckon you're going to love it. So really, really look out for it. Interestingly, Bergamus from Auto Parés is one of my favourite perfumes. That has got an awful lot of Jarvanol in it as well. So that's probably why I've got such a connection to it. But I honestly recommend that you try this. There is a full review of it on the channel, so please look out for that if you want some more information. Highly recommended, and another stunning use of grapefruit. Okay. Next up, a bit of a weird one, actually, and a new one on me, but we have, just brace yourself for one of the craziest looking bottles I've ever seen. You ready? And this is from Noem, Paris, and this is called Naka. Now look at that. This huge 100ml glass bottle with the maddest cap I've ever seen on a perfume. Look at that. It weighs an absolute ton as well. And here we have an absolute stunning bargain. This actually retails in Harrods at the moment for £180 for 100ml, so it's a lot of money. I got this in TK Maxx for around £50, which is absolute steal. So how does it smell? Well, the chances are you've not seen this or heard of this, so it's going to be quite an easy one to describe. This is like the ultra niche version of Terre d'Hermès, but thankfully for me, there is no orange in it. There's no citrus. There's lots of citrus, but there's no orange. What you have is a beautiful grapefruit that is beefed up by some really, really punchy pepper on a bed of lavender. And you've got this incredibly intoxicating and very, very airy, masculine fragrance. It's so smart man about it. It's beautiful. And then what happens is, as this sort of citrus infused peppery opening starts to dry down, you'll get some beautiful cedar that comes in. So it starts off like, as I say, a very ultra niche version of Terre d'Hermès without the mouldy orange. And then as the cedar comes into it, you start to lean towards Xerjoff's Zafiro. It has that kind of same woody dry down, and it just works so well. I'm so over the moon with this one. I will be doing a full review of it very, very soon. It's actually named after a deep mine in Chihuahua in Mexico, so that's where it gets its name from. And I think it's sort of, you know, there's sort of it's a mineral mine, so that's where you get all these kind of minerally notes or nuances in the perfume from. But to, you know, just to describe it very, very simplistically, it's like a posh version of Terre d'Hermès that dries down into something very, very similar to Xerjoff Zafiro, but it's a very, very good perfume. It's got quite a loud opening. It is a bit of a room filler, but that doesn't last too long. It's about half an hour being very, very punchy. And then it sits above your skin for an incredibly long time. I've worn it to work twice now. And I've noticed that when I've come home from work and it has been hot, I can still smell it on me. So it's a little bit more than a skin scent. You're not burying your nose in to look for it. So it does have fairly good performance. So well worth looking at. And if you can get it in TK Maxx, I think it was either £59. Yeah, I think it was £59. So have a look out for it. There's a few in the collection, but this was the only one that really jumped out at me. But it is going to be a bit of a risky blind buy because you can't sample in TK Maxx. But if you see it and you fancy a punt, if you like Terre d'Hermès, you will enjoy this crazy bottled one. An absolute beauty. Right. Final two, and the last of the big surprises. So here we have from the Charnay Musica Oud, the big bad oud boy from my collection. This is a bombastic fragrance. This is potent, it's powerful, it's oudy, it's civety, it's saffrony, it's got oak moss, it's got sandalwood, it's got attitude, it's got performance for days. and it's also got a little bit of grapefruit in the opening. And this is again a perfect example of grapefruit being used in a perfume that's not a citrusy one, that's not light, it's not airy, it's not sweet, it's not sharp, it's a boom. That's what this is. This is a massive, massive perfume with lashings and lashings of civet and sweet saffron and this wonderful sandalwood. There's lots of oak moss and a realistic kind of oudy smell. It's more about the civet than the oud, so if you don't like animalic perfumes, steer well clear of this. Again, this is another one that you cannot get on clothing because it stays on clothes forever, and it's just an ultra potent perfume. It's beautiful. Not really appropriate for this time of year, in all honesty. I mean, I have worn it in the warmth and it's a bit of a struggle. I strongly recommend that you don't. Save this for a colder day or a cooler evening when it's going to be absolutely blinding. Just to keep you up to speed, Rich bought a bottle of this a while back and he absolutely adores it as well. So this is one of our favourites. And a really unusual one to be included in a list of perfumes that you know, are basically devoted to a grapefruit, because there is some grapefruit in here and it does really work. It's only really in the opening that you'll notice it, but it sets the scene really, really well for the artillery that kind of bombard the rest of the perfume. Highly recommended sampling. Do not blind buy this one. You will really, really, I do not recommend anyone blind buy this. It's just a bit too much for some, but I think it's borderline masterpiece territory. So that's the number 2, Musica Oud. And finally, the number 1, and it has to be Overdose from Oud Malaki. And I know I've been talking about this one quite a lot lately, but this is just a perfect example of a summer freshie with grapefruit. It's beautiful. You have the sparkling note in this, I think, is caused by the grapefruit, and it's fizzy. It's just, it bounces off your skin. It's a wake-up call. It's just gorgeous, and it really, really is fizzy. If you've never experienced a perfume that fizzes on your skin, this is a great one to try to start off with. As that citrus riot kicks off and just runs away, then you'll get some salty ambergris comes in and smooths everything down. It's almost like the drink's gone flat, but the flavour's still there, if you know what I mean. You just lose that fizziness and it all smooths itself out. This is a beautiful fragrance, good performance, wears so well in the sun. It just makes you feel good to have. And this is a 100ml bottle, and you know, I have to say the presentation has changed. So if you buy it, it will probably come in the newer shape bottle. But I'm kind of attached to this old style bottle. It's lovely. But this is a beautiful fragrance, and I really, really hope that you get to try this one. And I think for the quality of it, this is, I mean, if you get this from Javoy, this is, I think it's about £110 for 100ml. So it's an absolutely, really, really well priced bargain fragrance, I think, for the quality that you're getting. And if you get a chance, sample the rest of the collection. Paramore, I adore. That's one I'm really, really hankering after a bottle of. So, you know, hopefully keep your eyes peeled. If I can get a bottle, I will, and then you can see a review of Paramore. Although it's not really, Paramore's kind of like a sweet, leathery, fruity fragrance, so probably not great for hot weather. But this one is, and that's Overdose from Oud Malaki. Please, please, please try and get your nose on this one, because it's absolutely gorgeous. So there you have it. Some perfumes with grapefruit in, and not a single Auto Parisi in the collection. So I don't know whether I'm losing my touch or maybe I'm just expanding my horizons. Anyway, listen guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry it's a bit rushed. I'm trying to get through and get lots done. Just finished work and all the rest of it. So we thought we'd get the video done, get it out to you guys, and then hopefully we can, you know, now we're back to normal, we can start resuming filming on a fairly regular basis. So listen, thank you very much for your support. It's really, really appreciated. Obviously, I'm interacting with lots of you guys on Instagram, so if you don't follow us on Instagram, hit us up there, and we can talk some more. Or if you just, you know, want to ask some questions, please leave them under the video and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So, thank you very much for your time. Cheers and bye!